Hey, I'm Mike, and I make music under the name Maebe, and this is my riff list. I'm of the generation that learned guitar entirely from playing Blink-182 songs, so the first riff I ever learned was probably All the Small Things, which I think goes a little something like this. And then I went into the back catalogue a little bit. I kind of went die-hard Blink-182, like I didn't just stop there. So I did the obvious, damn it. But then I went back further and did the whole like Cheshire Cat era as well, so stuff like M&M's. Which is kind of math rocky now I look back, and maybe that's where some of that stuff stems from. Like everyone, I have a lot of favourite riffs of all time, so I'm going to do a few here and kind of cheat the format. But the one I always play when I play guitar is Cherub Rock by Smashing Pumpkins. And that's nice and noisy because of Big Muff. And then my other kind of favourite riffs also stem from the 90s. I think the 90s was kind of the golden era for riffs. So my kind of favourite band of all time are Soundgarden. I was just stomping loads of pedals there, sorry. I just want to get the tone right, you know? So I think like Slaves and Bulldozers is kind of a real standout, and I have that in my head like most days, which is probably something I should see a psychiatrist about, but it sounds like this. So that's a pretty gnarly one. And then I'd be remiss not to mention Tom Morello, who was my kind of teen idol. I was a member of an internet forum called tommorello.net. That's how kind of deep this went. So I want to name like pretty much every Tom Morello riff from the Rage Against the Machine era and a hell of a lot of Audioslave. But the one that kind of really stands out to me is I think the main riff of Wake Up is still pretty gnarly and holds up today. So I think Death Cab for Cutie are hugely underrated on the guitar front. I think they're very clever. And Kath is one of my favourite riffs ever. So I'm going to give this one a little shout out and play it completely wrong for you right now. It's actually really tricky to play because every time it kind of changes that little, and then it's like, and then it's all like, very smart writing. So I've played in a lot of covers bands over the years, which means I know loads of embarrassing songs. But back when I was in my teens, we kind of had a competition to learn the kind of campus songs we could think up, which is super fun to play. And Man, I Feel Like a Woman was right up there. I haven't played this since I was like 18. I haven't played any covers bands since, but it really stuck with me, and I freaking love the guitar solo, so I'm gonna bust that out right now. Wow, way too much delay on there, apologies. A chord I play all the time, so I think this kind of makes it my favourite chord, is the old E minor 7th, but up here, so you've kind of got 7, 5, 7 on A, D, G. got that kind of ambiguous quality to it, which is something I really look for in chords. So I really dig that. It's also the start of Weird Fishes by Radiohead. The other chord I want to give a shout out to is the one that my old guitar teacher Matt Hopkins told me I should play whenever I'm on the cover of a guitar magazine, which seemed unlikely at the time, which was the kind of chord. I've been holding this for way too long while I'm explaining this. Ouch! Which is the chord from the X-Files. So that's kind of cool and really hurts your hand, and I'll never play guitar again after that. Some people may laugh at me for this, but I actually sat down. We had a copy of John Petrucci, Rock Discipline, lying around the office, and I thought, hey, I'll give that a go. You know, I want to pick up my alternate picking skills, and I did go through a massive shred phase as a kind of teenager. And I sort of did the warm-ups, and I was like, okay, this is really useful. Got onto like the meat of the matter, and it was just like hemi-demi semi-quavers, and I just kind of went, nope, too much for me. But the warm-up routine is awesome, and I kind of do it every time I have to like record or play live. It just kind of gets my fingers working like more independently. So there's this kind of picking warm-up, which is and then you kind of double it, and then you kind of triplet it. And as you can hear, I don't really do the double too much. I just get my string skipping going, and then I'm kind of off to the races. And then the other one is the kind of finger independence workout for the fretting hand. So it sounds absolutely horrible. Proper evil stuff, but the way your fingers kind of move around there really helps you kind of flex them and get them in shape for a serious match of guitar fisticuffs. I don't do sports. I have a confession to make, and that is I don't tend to learn too many songs unless I'm gonna gig them with a band, or I'm going to do a cover of them for Instagram. So the last thing I actually learned was for Instagram, and I went to New York and I picked up this Legend of Zelda tab book. No, keep watching, please keep watching. And in it had kind of like Zelda's theme, Zelda's Lullaby, I think, from Ocarina of Time. And I really love learning that. It's like these cool fingerstyle arrangements. So I'll play that, and I did it on Instagram. Nobody watched it, but I got some personal satisfaction out of learning this, and it harks back to my classical guitar days. So I'll bust that out here. One of them is the main riff for Blood Gloves, which is on my album Maebe. I kind of wrote this while I was having a walk around Bath, which is where my office is located, and it came into my head, and I ran back to the office, well, kind of jogged, and picked up a guitar. I have a guitar by my desk, very nice Jazzmaster, and I kind of transcribed it onto guitar, and it was the kind of Soundgarden-y, Alice in Chains-y riff that I always wanted to write kind of all my life. So I was super pleased to be able to write it, and it goes like this.